President Sara Duterte on publicly aired threats. The National Bureau of Investigation is set to serve today, November 26th, the subpoena to Vice President Sara Duterte on her publicly aired murder threats against President Marcos, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Over the weekend, Duterte held a press conference where she declared that she has talked to a person who, in the event she dies, will kill the Marcos couple and Romualdez. Following her statements that is now the subject of the NBI investigation, Duterte thereafter claimed that what she said was taken out of context and that the government has ignored threats to her life. NBI Director Jaime Santiago assured that the NBI has received no information concerning threats against the vice president and that this was the first time it learned about it. President Marcos hits back at Vice President Sara Duterte's threat. President Marcos broke his silence and retaliated against the death threat made by Vice President Sara Duterte, saying such criminal threat is concerning and should not be ignored. In a 2-minute video message last Monday, November 25th, Marcos made a lengthy statement following the death threat and tirades issued by Duterte over the weekend. He said he will not let it pass without fighting back. He voiced his sentiments on the events leading to the statement made by the vice president, which, he said, could have been prevented if only she answered to the Senate and House of Representatives inquiries. The surname Piattos exists in Davao City, Office of the Vice President Executive Officer claims. An Office of the Vice President official has claimed that the surname Piattos actually exists in Davao City, thus bringing new hope in the search for the enigmatic individual, Mary Grace Piattos. This answer prompted Representative Luistro to ask Acosta if she personally knew Mary Grace Piattos, an alleged signatory to an acknowledgement receipt for confidential funds submitted by the Office of the Vice President. The name of Mary Grace Piattos was publicized during an earlier hearing of the House panel investigating the alleged misuse of public funds by the OVP and the Department of Education under Vice President Sara Duterte's tenure as secretary. The discovery of such a name raised further doubt on the legitimacy of how the two Duterte-led offices utilized its combined 612.5 million pesos of confidential funds. Vice President Sara Duterte washes hands on the kill plot against President Marcos. Vice President Sara Duterte insisted that the remark she made about having hired someone to kill President Marcos is not an active threat, but was simply taken out of its logical context. In a response to the Executive Secretary Lucas Bersaman's statement last November 24th about viewing her words as an active threat to the life of President, the official stressed that such insistence is ominous. Duterte also criticized the use of the word assassin in statements and reports because it turned the issue even more terrifying, stressing that she never used the term during my recent consternation against the Marcos administration's failure to serve the Filipinos while it masterfully persecutes political enemies. AFP Chief General Brawner tells to troops that don't be shaken by the political noise. General Romeo Broner Jr., Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, directed the troops to remain steadfast in their mandate to protect the country and the Filipino people amid intense political noise. Brawner alluded to the assassination threat made by Vice President Sara Duterte against President Marcos Jr. The military chief urged the troops to remember the vow they promised to adhere to when they entered the service. United Nations Population Fund, Philippine Commission on Women, and SM Cares launch 18-day campaign to end violence against women. To raise awareness, foster community engagement, and advocate for stronger support systems for survivors of gender-based violence, the United Nations Population Fund, the Philippine Commission on Women, and SM Cares have joined forces to kick off an 18-day campaign to end violence against women. The 18-day campaign to end violence against women calls on individuals and communities to take collective action toward creating a safer and more equitable environment for women across the Philippines. Israel launches new airstrikes on Lebanon as leaders draw closer to a ceasefire with Hezbollah. Israel's military launched airstrikes across Lebanon, unleashing explosions throughout the country and killing at least 31 while Israeli leaders appeared to be closing in on a negotiated ceasefire with the Hezbollah militant group. The barrage came as officials indicated they were nearing agreement on a ceasefire. while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet prepared to discuss an offer on the table. Military officials said they targeted areas known as Hezbollah strongholds. They issued evacuation orders for Beirut's southern suburbs, and strikes landed across the city, including meters from a Lebanese police base and the city's largest public park. Stay updated with the latest news. Visit our website at www.mb.com.ph or follow us on social media. Thanks for tuning in to the Manila Bulletin Daily Rundown.